Spencer and them, I think they believed in for 343 Studio. They had their back, and but things happen, and now they get the time to make this game better than it was. And I think that's
And
what I like about Microsoft. Like the support is what
yeah,
these studios need, and they're able to do it and stuff.
yeah. And with that said, I think we'll wrap this up here. I'm
Oh
glad
man, I'm
I'm
having
glad
so much fun.
I know I'm glad that we got to talk more about this and get your guys thoughts on the 20 years of Xbox. But I do have other people who would like to sit down and talk with me about
That's not
their
true.
20 years of Xbox. so 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 we will go to them and get their thoughts now. Hello everybody. I am sitting here with Josh Finney, and we are about to talk about his history with Xbox and helping us celebrate the 20-year anniversary. How's it going, Josh?
It's going great. Thanks for having me. It's been a little while since we did a show together.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I think we did a boss rush maybe at some point. I think you might have came on
I think
for a
like back in
little bit.
April or
Yeah,
April or March or April we did one together. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's definitely been a while. I always enjoy chatting with you, and
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah, you enjoy. I do. I definitely miss that old Arsenal X. I completely understand. I'm glad you guys are kind of doing your thing and getting out there and
Yeah.
doing all kinds of other stuff. Because honestly, like that's what this has always kind of been about, is just trying to hopefully people find their passion and
Right.
go do what you're gonna do. Because I've actually been thinking about doing something myself, doing a podcast where I just watch all the Leslie Nielsen movies, and
Oh
each
no.
episode each episode is and I forget what I was joking about calling it. Yeah, but well, just because I've always been a big fan of him. Like
Mhm.
I haven't watched too many. I think only one of his first movie, like one of his older movies, and that's it, when he did the more serious acting. But because I
Right.
would do those too, just for the experience. Because honestly, I wouldn't mind going and seeing some of those. But yeah, so we're here to talk about Xbox. So yeah, would you mind just kind of talking about your history and like some of the things that really made you stick to Xbox as kind of your main console?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my Xbox story kind of starts where everybody else's does. Back in the OG era, with Halo 1. I remember I played Halo for the first time probably fall 2003. I think I played Halo 1 for the first time. And God, I'm going to show my age here, but I think I was 11 when I played it. Yeah, I was about
Okay.
11 when I played Halo for the first time, and I didn't quite fall in love with it right away. Ironically, what I fell in love with were the RPGs.
Yeah.
Halo may be my favorite series of all time, and that's largely thanks to Halo 2.
Yeah.
Uh, but Knights of the Old Republic and Morrowind, and then later on down the road in 2005, Jade Empire and
Yeah.
Fable are really what did the heavy lifting for me as an early fan. I don't think I've ever been as captivated by a game the first time I booted it up than I was for Morrowind. I didn't know what Elder Scrolls was. I'd never heard of this weird company, Bethesda. And, years later, here I am. I'm a giant Bethesda nut. I buy every single game that comes out. I've bought Skyrim probably 3 or 4 times now. I mowed lawns all summer when the 360 got announced. If anybody remembers, again, showing my age, seeing the reveal of the 360 on what was then Spike TV.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood revealed it. Like
Yes.
it was the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen for a console reveal. But they showed off Oblivion. And I'd read the Game Informer feature the year before in 2004 where they just announced it was coming to the next Xbox and it was coming to PS3 and PC. And as soon as I saw that game running in real time, I saw that and Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. I had already fallen in love with Halo by this point. I was thinking about scraping some money together to buy a used Xbox. I said, screw it, mowed lawns all summer and into the fall to be able to buy a 360 on launch day. And I don't think I've ever looked back. I've pretty much been an Xbox main for, 16 years now. I got red ringed right out of the box. If that didn't ruin me being an Xbox fan, nothing was going to. But it's been it's been a wild ride through the ups and downs, But what's kept me sticking is a lot of my friends gravitated to Xbox because we're kind of the old guard, right? Like we grew up on Halo. I was a sophomore in high school when Halo 3 came out. I remember I was allowed to take the day off. My parents let me call in sick that day to school to stay home and play the campaign. Me and my best friend played through the campaign as soon as the game came out. We were at the midnight release. Got his older brother to take us, but it was one of those things. Like in high school, you owned, at least at my high school at that age, you owned an Xbox. Nobody wanted a PS3. You wanted an Xbox because that was Madden was online there. You had Halo. You had Forza was just starting to come up at that time. We had Forza. We had Project Gotham. Call of Duty 2 was actually really big when the 360 came out. But if you wanted to do multiplayer gaming or the FPS games, or like I fell in love with Western RPGs, Xbox was where you went.
Mm-hmm.
And PlayStation, and they very much have kept this going throughout. If you wanted platformers or like that weren't necessarily like super kiddie, that weren't like Mario-esque, but that were a little bit more mature, like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, you wanted any Japanese title at all, you pretty much went to PlayStation. And that Final Fantasy was pretty much exclusive over there. Like, that's kind of where the line in the sand got drawn. If you played by yourself, you were probably on PS2 or GameCube, and then going into the Wii and the PS3. If you want to play with your friends, and I still think this is very close to the truth, you played on Xbox. Xbox Live was an infinitely better experience than trying to play online on a PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, online was practically non-existent with the PS2. Like, that's what you had. Like I remember buying the starter packs that you used to have to buy for Xbox Live. It would come with the 12-month card. It would come with like a game download and a chat headset, and those crappy flimsy headsets we all had. They eventually replaced them with the little Bluetooth headsets, but I really loved that. I got away from gaming for a bit towards the end of the 360, but still kept my 360 on me for one thing, and that was Halo. Halo is what I continually find always brings me back. A lot of my friends jumped ship to go get a PS4 during the last generation, and that's cool. I understand where they're coming from. We're older now. I mean, I'm in my late 20s now, and it's you don't have so much time for those multiplayer games. Like the games I am playing are multi-plat. Where they're getting cross-play enabled in the next couple of months. Destiny's the big one that I play. But even other games I dabble in, like Warzone and Apex, like I know they've got crossplay or have crossplay coming. But Xbox somehow still keeps me coming back with those promises, and now with Bethesda, like there's no way I'm not ever going to skip an Xbox.
Yeah, and I was saying this with Joe too, that I think that's just it though. It's just like Xbox has just always been the best place since N64, in my opinion, to have friends come over or play online multiplayer. Like I was saying to Joe, like for me, like the N64 was like, it was friends always at each other's house, bringing controllers over, playing, multiplayer on one screen or whatever. But then once the first Xbox came out, that was the first time that I really played a lot of multiplayer games on a console where everyone's in the same room, since the N64. And I think that it really brought everything I loved about the N64 playing with friends stuff but then it also gave you all these really good, mature, cool titles of games that I liked.
It was a console that when it came out, I mean, I was 9 when it released in 2001.
Yeah.
I got a GameCube over an Xbox because when I looked at the Xbox, like I was interested in it because it's made by my 9-year-old brain goes, it's being made by Microsoft. I'll probably really like it then.
Yeah.
Because I played a lot of PC games before. I played games on PC. I had an N64, I had a Game Boy, all that jazz.
Yeah.
But what got me to go to a GameCube was there was a new Smash Brothers and there was a new Star Wars game at launch. A couple years in, I started going, okay, well, I'd really like to try and get a PS2, for my birthday. Right around the time I started wanting a PS2 because I'd played Jak and Daxter at a friend's house and had fallen in love with it. Like that was it. That sold me on the console. I wanted that and Twisted Metal Black.
Yeah.
And then I played Halo for the first time. I played Halo. I played Morrowind. I obsessed over Morrowind. I cannot tell you how many sleepovers I did in a row at that friend's house to beat Morrowind. It was borderline unhealthy how much time we spent together beating that game, and then I turned around and did it again during Oblivion.
That's how it was for the Modern Warfare games back in the day, man. I used to play those way too much, probably like 12 hours a day sometimes.
There's nothing better than sinking your teeth into a good shooter or a good RPG, in my opinion. Well, not even like really a shooter, a good multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Because I've been known to sink 12 to 15 hours into a Destiny expansion as soon as it comes out. Yeah. For several days on end. If I happen to have the days off, that first weekend is just bananas. Like, okay, I've got 2, maybe 3 days of uninterrupted playtime. I deliberately have cleared my schedule. It's like the only other company I have ever done that for is Bethesda. Now it's ironic that, like, with the exception of Bungie, it's all underneath the same umbrella now. You've got Halo, you've got Gears of War, you've got Forza. Like, you've got these franchises. Like, I always see the criticism and the critique that, Xbox only has Halo, Forza, Gears, and Fable. And it's like, why do they keep making it? Well, they keep making it because it keeps selling.
Yeah.
It scores pretty decently every time around. It sells, they sell bananas amounts of copies. Like, you can't take PS4 sales numbers, for example, for exclusives, and then try to bring them into this argument. Like, Nintendo's always going to be an outlier. The PS4 is statistically an outlier in terms of attachment of first-party software, although I do think that's increasing across the board.
Yeah.
With Xbox, it comes back to, like, it's the games I want to play, but the services, too. Like, we talked a lot about Xbox Live, and now, going into the next generation of services with Game Pass and with what's still being called xCloud.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Years ago, I used to joke that, man, I'd really love if I could just play Fable or Halo, I guess it was. It was when Halo Master Chief Collection first came out. I really wish I could play this on my tablet. Like, I wish I could just sit in the back of this lecture hall that I'm only here because the teacher takes attendance. Like, I've already got an A in this class. I wish I could just sit back here and play some Halo. Like I used to in the high school computer lab. We used to download the Halo CE trials to the computers and play them all on the same network.
Well, remember when Xbox had teased that they were working on a handheld and the big sell for it was you'll be able to play Halo on the go, like, and everyone was crazy for that, and then it never happened.
It never happened, but like I'm a firm believer everything in this industry especially happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And the Xbox One, like sales wise, is, I mean, you sold, I think our last estimate's like 50-60 million, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
That's far from a failure, but it looks like a failure when you stack it up to 115 million units sold for the PS4 or the 83 million that the Switch is currently at, and it's climbing millions every month right now. Statistically, it's going to pass the PS4 at some point, and is going to come within spitting distance maybe of the PS2 if it doesn't slow down and it gets a refresh, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But it's like I've stuck it out through the Red Ring. I stuck it out through TV.
Yeah.
Through Always Online, through the Kinect being bundled in. Like, if 2013 didn't drive me away from this brand, I don't know what would.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this last generation in terms of software wasn't great. Let's be honest, this was not Xbox's finest generation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so excited. I think the other thing that I love so much is I'm always excited about the optimism that's shared for the future.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear somebody like, and I know he's just a figurehead, the whole corporation's not your friend thing applies here.
Yeah.
But seeing someone get up there and genuinely speak to how much they love games, like Phil Spencer does, or like Matt Booty does, and then you look at the creators they have there. You have Todd Howard, Shinji Mikami, Tim Schafer, Brian Fargo, Fergus over at Obsidian. Like, you have so many people there
Yeah.
that just want to make games. They just want to
Yeah.
make awesome games for people. And I like how diverse the portfolio is becoming. It's just I'm going to sit here and keep rambling, but it comes down to like it's come full circle now. Like, so many of my friends who jumped the PlayStation are like, wow, like I feel for the first time I need to own both.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, most of them bought a Switch in the interim, but they're like, man, I feel like I need to own both because but the thing is, you don't have to. Like, you have the option now to go play those games on PC if you have a good PC, or you can play them through Android or through the web browsers. Like, I play my indies are almost exclusively played on my phone now in bed.
Yeah,
I got one of those backbone.
TVs.
I got a backbone shell coming in. That's probably how I'm going to play the entirety of 12 minutes this summer. Is on my phone.
Yeah. How are you liking that so far? The backbone thing.
I don't have it in quite yet. It comes in next week.
No,
I ordered it. I didn't anticipate using cloud streaming as much as I want to, or as much as I have been. And I've actually been playing a lot of games with touch controls.
I tried that the other day for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not too bad. I mean, I wasn't on a great connection, so.
God, what was I playing? That is the one thing. Like, the server blades haven't been upgraded yet, so it's still running off Xbox One architecture, and you can tell. Like, I've played some Destiny strikes on there, or done some Crucible. And it's bad. It runs at 30 frames, and especially in Crucible, going from the 120 frames on my OLED to 30 frames on my phone is jarring.
Yeah.
I think it works really, really well for smaller titles, though, for indies. Like, I think ID at Xbox is going to see an even bigger boon. And when we eventually get to the point, I'm convinced this is getting announced this year, that they're going to have it in beta by the end of the year or by early next year, is that you're going to be able to play any of your digital games. Anywhere. That's, to me, the next logical step. You unbundle it from Game Pass, make it its own thing. I would gladly pay $10 a month for that to access my stuff anywhere.
Yeah, the perfect game for me has been Gears of War Tactics. It is such a perfect game for that.
Any ISO game I feel is really good for it. I'd actually really like to try and get back into Wasteland that way.
Yeah, that would be good too.
I've been playing some of the Telltale games with the touch controls. I've been doing Wild at Heart, just came out on Game Pass.
Yeah.
There's some great ones on there that you can play that aren't too intensive. Like, it's really hard for me to play a shooter on a phone. Like, I can do a Destiny Strike because I've played those things so many times.
Yeah.
But it starts to hurt my eyes after a little while looking at it on my phone. Like, I would only use this to log in and do stuff I absolutely had to do. Like, if I was going to get serious about playing on this, and say I was out of town the week that a content release drops, I would want to take my tablet with me, and I would just hook up via that, because that's at least a 9 to 12-inch screen.
Yeah.
That's better. I've played on my MacBook with no problems, no connection issues, very good latency, but it's all going to depend on your internet connection. Just like the old days of Xbox Live, it's going to depend on your internet.
Yep, exactly.
Your ISP. So I love the legacy of Xbox. I'm looking so forward to Halo this fall with Infinite. Everything coming full circle. It really is the brand that built Xbox. Without them, without those early contributions from BioWare, and the team that would go on to become Turn 10. I don't know if you have Xbox. I mean, Lionhead also. I remember reading about, and Bethesda even. I remember reading about what was then called Project Ego in E3 2001. I remember reading about that because that was when the GameCube got revealed, and that was when we got the reveal of Smash Brothers and all that. But then there was this thing called Xbox that I hadn't heard of before. It was my very first Game Informer issue. It was issue. I remember it very clearly in my mind. It was issue 99, I believe, 98 or 99. And they had all these weird things for this big black box with a green X on it. And I didn't understand what Halo was. I never played a shooter at this point. Like, I played GoldenEye, and that was it. I played GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. Those are the only shooters I'd ever touched. I'd never played Doom. I hadn't really played Turok. Like, I just shot a couple dinosaurs in it, and that was it. Like, those never really thrilled. I played the Army Men games. That may have been the closest thing to a shooter I'd ever played.
Those were actually pretty fun, though. Those are fun.
Army Men Air Combat is still one of my favorite N64 games, I think. It's not good at all, but it was a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It was good to an 8-year-old.
Yeah. But going back, though, a lot of things were just good for the time on N64.
Yeah.
Like, you go back and you look at, like, how 007 performed on that, even with the expansion pack thing in. It was so chunky whenever there was explosions, and I within the last like 10 years I'd gone back and tried it, and I'm just like, how did we ever enjoy this? How, with how bad it would drop in frames and all that, and I'm just like, how did we enjoy this? But that was all we knew. So
it's crazy because I remember reading about that first launch lineup for Xbox. I remember seeing Halo, Project Gotham Racing, and I think Oddworld, Munch's Odyssey were all teased in that spread. And I read about this game that would become Fable eventually, Project Ego, and like, oh, if you do something in this forest, when you come back, if you do it as a child, when you come back as an adult, that whole area will be affected. And like, okay, it's nice to know that Peter Molyneux was making promises that Todd Howard also makes now, and nobody has learned from each other because time is a flat circle. I just think to kind of wrap up, though, I guess I could sit here and talk about this for hours on it. I think just the legacy of the console is what keeps me coming back. Like, it used to be a joke in my friend group that, oh, well, as long as there's a new Halo coming, Josh is going to buy the Xbox day one. And that is still true to a degree because I love Halo so much. But now because the Bethesda purchase was announced just before pre-orders happened. And so we were all like, oh my God, like that came out, we're all ordering our consoles, and like that's kind of driving the hype too. But it's getting back to the console that I fell in love with, but way back in 2003. It's focused on playing with your friends, forging those friendships. Like, I have lifelong friendships I've made because of these games. Whether it's Destiny or it's Call of Duty or it's Halo or it's Forza, like, I've met people that I continue to play with. 10 years later, I would never have become friends with one of my best friends in the world, and I would never have become friends without him finding out that I liked Halo at school. Halo 2 had just come out maybe 2 days before, and he goes, "Hey, do you want to come to my house this weekend and play Halo with me? My brother just bought Halo 2." And we stayed up all night to beat that game on Legendary. Two just dumb 12-year-olds stayed up all night playing it, and that became a tradition. Almost every weekend, I think I was at somebody's house from the time I was in junior high until well into college, doing Halo LAN parties, even after Xbox Live. Like, we were doing Halo LAN parties. We were playing Rock Band. We were playing Guitar Hero. We play Modern Warfare online, Modern Warfare 2, or we'd be, oh my God, have you heard about this game, Mass Effect? Like, oh, it's so cool. We've never played anything like this. Or, oh my God, I can't believe how awesome Oblivion is. Or, oh, let's all squad up in Ghost Recon. And even if somebody's not there, like, you can still give directions to your squad mates. Like, we've never seen anything like this. Rainbow Six, there's so many classic franchises that, are multi-platform, but I'll always remember them as the memories I had on Xbox.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
all right. Well, thank you for sitting down with me and talking about it. And can you let people know where to find you?
Yeah, as always, you guys can find me on Twitter and Twitch as @Josh_Finn with 2 N's, and you can find me every Thursday night with our friend Corey and HD doing Tower Casuals, Destiny podcast.
All right. Well, thank you again, and we will see you guys in the next interview. All right. Bye. Hello, everybody. I am here with Stoy from EXPCast, and he's gonna help us celebrate 20 years of Xbox. It's been a great 20 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can't believe it. It seems like 20 years is like a short amount of time. Like I feel like
yeah,
Xbox is older than that, but it really isn't when I kind of did the math.
yeah. Well, and I always joke that I count the Dreamcast as like part of the first Xbox just because it says Microsoft right on it. So
yeah, right. Well, it was their test system after all, I guess.
yeah. And then, like once Dreamcast kind of fell off the face of the earth, then that first Xbox, it was where a lot of their exclusives ended up going to. So
yeah, for sure.
So I mean, that was cool. And like there's been talks recently, a lot of people about speculating, buying up companies, and I think it would kind of be cool if Sega and them kind of like teamed up again. Bring it back to that past, because they kind of said that they're trying to go for that original Xbox kind of feel with the new one and stuff. So
right. Well, wasn't there a recent Sonic showcase and they announced this partnership with PS Now or something for a lot of their games?
Yeah, I think there had been something that I didn't really get a chance to watch much of that.
Right. Yeah. Same.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, we've been kind of busy this week. We're doing a massive garage sale, like a bunch of my family and a bunch of my wife's family just all brought stuff to our place, and we're just marking everything and trying to get it all ready for this weekend. So
tis the season, man. Garage sale season.
Yeah, although it's raining like heck right now here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's raining down here too.
Yeah,
you live like an hour and a half north of me, so.
Yeah. Which I was just curious. I don't know if you had seen anything about it, but were you possibly thinking about if you could go into the game summit at all?
Where is that?
It's in Illinois.
Okay. I just saw it got announced.
Yeah.
But that's in June or July.
It's in July, I believe.
Okay. All right.
I believe it's middle to early July. Yeah, because I guess a bunch, Celeste and a bunch of people are gonna be going, from Boss Rush there, and so
we gotta have a meetup, man. Boss Rush meetup.
Well, and that's the thing, like other than Ed, I haven't really met anyone in person yet. So
yeah,
so I mean,
you guys
but yeah, so.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. I'll find out when the dates are, and yeah, I mean that's something we're looking into. Like we're definitely going to Midwest Gaming Classic, which is going to be happening up here in Milwaukee in November this time. Yeah. But we're down for that. I'm down for that.
You know what? I might have to look into trying to go to that because that's something too I've been wanting to go to for years, but I just never really pulled the trigger on it. So
once they moved to the Wisconsin Center, man, it just blew up.
Yeah,
blew up. It's huge now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, 20 years.
Yeah, Xbox.
Of Xbox.
Yeah. No, I remember what blew me away about the first Xbox was that it had a hard drive.
Yeah.
And you could upload music to it.
Yes.
And I remember one of my things that I always loved doing was I loved playing racing games. I love racing games, And I always it'd be cool because like some of the racing games like Gran Turismo, for the PlayStation had soundtracks, but they were never the greatest. So I'd always turn my stereo on and just listen to my own music. When I found out Xbox had a hard drive and you could play music during some of the games, it blew me away. So when I was playing Forza Motorsport when that first came out, that was like the Gran Turismo killer.
Yeah.
Another one I thought about recently. I was talking about it recently with one of our guys in the podcast, Josh. This game called Apex.
Yep.
Where it was like you're racing. You're part of your own like car company.
Yeah.
And you're designing cars and you're racing your cars. And the more you win, the more in tune you can design your cars. And
Okay.
And that had a custom soundtrack too, where you could kind of listen to your own music while you race. But I thought the concept of that was so cool because it was like here you are, you're hand picking the design of your cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish more games did that, later on. But
yeah, that's kind of, that reminds me. We went to Disney a couple of years ago now, and they had the whole, I believe it was it was I think either Chevy or Ford, but you essentially, you can put all these pieces of the car together and make your own car, and then you go in this like little car looking thing that goes on a track, and then your car will perform according to how well you built it. So like when you have to go around corners, you might slide if you didn't put like a decent enough tires on or whatever. Like, so yeah, something like that. Cause yeah, I remember hearing about that game, and I, like you, for a lot of like the PS2, especially in PS1 era, I did a lot of like playing racing games, even though I'm honestly not a car guy for whatever reason. Like when it comes to sports and on games, I like it, but I don't care about the actual sports a lot of the time.
That's okay.
So,
it's weird. I'm a huge soccer fan. I coach it. I play it. I'm invested in English Premier League and everything. But FIFA, I can never get into it. I buy it every year. I play it for like maybe a couple hours, and then that's it. And I do it every year. I don't know why, but.
Because there's a lot of like just things that like from one of the games I always bring up from the original Xbox that was an exclusive that like I feel like almost no one ever like really played it a whole lot. It wasn't super big, but did you ever play Death Row?
Death Row, was that
Yep.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Death Wake.
Death Row was essentially like ultimate frisbee,
Okay.
like mixed with like basketball, but then on top of it, like your characters could fight like a fighting game. So like you'd be running around trying to get this disc that's like flying at like light speed through the air and like, passing it, but you could just start kicking the crap out of the other team so that player wouldn't be able to play.
Yeah, I never heard of that. No, I was thinking of like Blood Wake. That's what I thought of.
Okay.
It was like the speedboat racing game on the Xbox. I think
Yeah. So, well, Death Row is backwards compatible, I believe, on the Xbox. Like, it was on Xbox One, so I would imagine it would be on the Series X too. But
that's the one thing why I love Xbox so much is that they actually care about the history. Granted, not every Xbox 360 game is backwards compatible, but a good majority of them. Like, if you played it during the 360, more than likely it's backwards compatible, and it's all the way up to the Series X. Like, if you still have the disc, you could still download it and still play it. Like, and even like some legacy Xbox titles. We were talking about the game Black. It's like this big first-person shooter kind of Michael Bay action style game that you can still like pull it from your shelf, and you can still play it on the new system, and that's kind of why I like Xbox so much.
Yeah, exactly. That like that it was kind of funny because like Sony had taken the opposite stance where they just didn't think that was really that big of a deal, but like. Like honestly, I feel like it's not just like by me that it's been a growing thing with not only like I would say almost side by side with you getting now barcades. Like now like a lot of people are like opening up their own businesses just to sell retro games and retro, like because there are so many people who want to go back and experience that old stuff, and like, like now there might be honestly people who buy a new Xbox just because they know they can go to those local retro stores and they can just go there and buy stuff from them, throw it in their console and play it. Like people are still using that stuff, and it's not just being thrown away somewhere.
For sure. They still have a market value.
Yeah, so it's
I mean, like we talked about. I mean, you and I, we've been gaming for years, decades.
Yeah.
And the video game population's getting older. So it's like, we obviously started when we were kids, and now we're like in our 30s and 40s. We're getting up there, and I'm turning 40 this weekend. But we still long for those type of games, and it's like it would be nice to like play it on a new system, so I don't like have to, go back into the attic, break out the old system and stuff. Like it would just be nice to have that feature if I buy new systems when they come out, and it would be nice to just keep it going.
Yeah, it's like my kids. I broke out the NES and put Duck Hunt in it, and they loved that and stuff.
Yeah,
because I've honestly, or actually, speaking of having a rummage sale, I'm probably gonna I've got like 4 or 5 CRT TVs, and I'm just gonna get rid of a bunch of them because I don't like. It's just things that I got for free and acquired, but I got one. That's all I need to put all my retro consoles and stuff on. But
right. Those things are heavy, man. You're gonna save a lot of room selling those things.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, and that's, and that brings up another thing that I kind of mentioned with on some of the other interviews. But like I feel like it was the N64 that me and friends would play, multiplayer, on one console. And it wasn't until the original Xbox came out that I really did that again and got back into like playing full on, like a whole bunch of us, and then the Xbox
that one
even
had
made
4
it.
ports.
Yeah, and it made it where you could hook up multiple Xboxes to a router, and you'd be able to just have a whole bunch of games going. And
bro, those Halo LAN parties, man.
Yeah.
Those Halo LAN parties. I mean, Halo is. I mean, people say like GoldenEye really kicked off multiplayer, but I really think it was Halo.
Yeah.
I mean, playing multiplayer Halo 2 with a bunch of your friends in someone's basement. Bring your Xbox. Someone's got the Switch, and someone's got the router, and just man, those are the days.
I had a lot of fun times of like, and even outside that, a lot of times I would go over to our friends, like me and my sister at the time kind of had a bunch of the same friends at some point, because she was only a couple of years younger than me or whatever. But we would just go over and like hang out with friends playing Halo and stuff, until like 4 or 5 in the morning. We would just pull an all-nighter, and that was like an every weekend thing. Like it was playing games all weekend, barely sleeping, and like just trying to get every second of the weekend in to do fun stuff.
And grab a 12-pack of soda and just
Yeah.
So I got to tell you an embarrassing story, but it's funny. Do you remember the game Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball?
Yes. Yes.
So that was, Xbox kind of was where Dead or Alive kind of sat. That was their system of choice at the time. And I was okay in fighting games and stuff. And Dead or Alive was always kind of weird mechanics for me. But when you're a teenager in high school and a volleyball game with well-endowed women in swimsuits comes out, you're like, hell yeah, let's play that game. So I had an Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine, and there was a topless code that they featured in this magazine.
Yep.
And so I go to my friend, one of my best friends at the time, was like, bro, we got to get this. We got to unlock this. And he's like, yeah, come on, let's do it. So we stayed up all night Saturday night. We had to do we had to go through like an entire campaign within a certain amount of time and put this code in at the end during the credits and this and that, whatever. And then afterwards, like There was picture proof in this magazine. There was like we were legit. We did this a couple times and kept going through the magazine. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong?
It was in April, man.
And I'm like, bro, this is an April issue. And he was all like, what is that supposed to mean? I was like, this is an April Fool's joke, man.
That's like remember when Kuma was an unlockable character in Resident Evil 2?
Yep. Electronic Gaming Monthly was so good on that. Like one of the best ones I think was the Wind Waker game.
Okay.
Where basically it was like if you reserved Twilight Princess at GameStop, you got a copy of Wind Waker with updated graphics, like non-cartoony graphics.
Yeah.
And that hit people hard. Like,
well, yeah, especially since there was a lot of kind of anger and because people were kind of upset about the art style.
I didn't like it. I mean, I ended up playing it on the Wii U and I loved it, but no, it was funny like reading the next issue of the May issue because I was like, I got to make a point to read the next issue, and the amount of hate mail EGM got for that, and they published all those letters, or they were like, someone sent an angry picture of themselves, like, you made me mad. I spent all night doing this, and it was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, like there's just back when the original Xbox came out, it was still like that was like looking back. I mean, there was a lot of great times, but like as far as like now, like the graphics and the having the ray tracing and all that stuff, we're definitely in the like one of the best times to be a gamer kind of era.
Well, even just the power of that solid state hard drives, man. Like literally no loading times. Like it's funny playing old games on an SSD drive and thinking like, oh man, this is going to be a 1 minute long load screen, and then bam, like you're in it. Like it's almost like it's game breaking a bit. Like it's like kind of takes you out of it. Like, whoa, holy cow, it's not supposed to go this fast.
Yeah, but, literally. Crap, I wish I could remember what game it was. But one of the games that they that's on backwards compatibility. Oh shoot, I think it's one of the rare games. One of the games on the rare collection. Maybe one of the Banjo. I don't remember, but when they updated it and everything and made it so it runs on the Series X, they actually had to slow down the loading speed for it, because once you got to a certain point, like it was loading the file up too fast, and it was actually causing it to crash because it was loading, like something happened where it was loading too fast, and they had to solve an
problems
issue
right there.
Yeah,
the game's loading too fast. We need to slow it down. Jeez.
Yeah, you couldn't finish. I think what it was is it was on the last boss too or something.
Yeah,
and so you couldn't finish the game or something like that. I forget what game
as gamers we made it, man. Like back then it was like loading screens were just like, oh, this is just how life is now, and nowadays it's like no load screens, like crazy.
Yeah, and like I don't know, did you ever watch they had like a documentary series thing that the Xbox did, like talking about like the kind of the history and like Halo, and they talked about a whole bunch of things, and it's funny just like hearing them talk about when they made that first Xbox, that they just basically just grabbed a bunch of things that they had around them and threw them together and just like to try to just quick make a console to get something out there. Mm-hmm. And it's just hilarious that
where is it at? Is it on Netflix or something?
Or? Well, no, actually I think you can watch it on YouTube.
Okay. I'll check that out. That sounds interesting.
It was like I think it's a couple of years old now, the documentary thing, but because they had like Major Nelson and like a whole bunch of people, famous Xbox people on there talking about all the, like them, and a lot of them being older than us, and talking about even beforehand and getting to see some of that stuff in person when it was happening and stuff. But
now I got to twist the question onto you.
Okay.
How many Xbox 360s did you own in your lifetime?
I still have, I think, like 4 at my house right now.
Good Lord.
Which
Did any of yours break?
yeah, like all of them that I have, none of them can play discs. None of them read discs. The only reason I held on to them is there was a local guy around here for a while that was fixing them up and stuff, and I thought about, because he was willing to give me a pretty decent price on just doing a bundle of them like that.
Yeah.
And then I would probably just turn around and just sell them or whatever. But I've thought about trying to fix them myself, because a lot of them, all it is I just need to throw a new disk drive in it.
Yeah.
Or
those
or
parts are pretty easily reproducible. Like I just recently raised my PlayStation 3, my fat PlayStation 3 from the dead.
Oh,
and
okay. Nice.
There's just a whole kit you buy where it's just like, it's these solder points. All you got to do is, take these apart, do these things, and recirculate the soldering mold, and bam, it like fired up. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
There's a good market for a lot of that stuff, because like I said, people are probably going through their crap in their basement and, oh man, I wonder if this Xbox still works. And
and like I said, I've got that local retro store that I was just at actually before we started this. And
so have you gone to that Start Over games? I think they're in Oshkosh.
I haven't been to that one. I've went to the bigger one that was in Green Bay, and that one was really cool. They would have they had like a whole section where you could buy like NES and SNES games that were brand new games, like games that people just made. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like games people made like for the system that are literally you can't just like buy anywhere. It's like,
okay, so like homebrew games.
Yeah, homebrew. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, this could be a whole nother topic, but I know like the homebrew games and the repro games are kind of a big thing, because people make the games affordable, but like obviously it's not the original copy of it. So you're not paying the full original copy price, but you still have the game and it's completely playable.
Yeah. Well, that's like one of my favorite games is Fade to Black, which is the sequel to
Flashback.
Yeah, Flashback. Yeah. And the guy that bought that, he's made those games. You can buy them brand new for Dreamcast and stuff like that. And all these cool games that people are making like brand new that just came out this year or last year that are for new games for Dreamcast. And I'm sure there's probably people making games for the original Xbox and who knows, I mean, that's the fun part about, I think, with gaming is like, it's so easy once you start getting deeper into stuff to be such a tech nerd. And like, just, like today, like I said, I went to the retro place and I was seeing, things for consoles that I never even knew existed, like, or games that I never knew existed or whatever that are, also going for like $300-400, but because they're so rare. But it's, and that's the thing. And like kind of bringing it back to the whole, like, backwards compatibility is like, just imagine if someone had that foresight, sooner to make that something that, game companies continue, because like, it would be so cool if like some of those games that are super rare, or, like every once in a while we get Japanese games that only released in Japan, and now we're getting, them ported here, and, 15 years later or whatever. And, like it just would be really cool if everyone had that foresight and, put in the work to kind of preserve that stuff, because it truly is, it's art, it's artwork. And it's just, it's a bummer that some of the other companies just don't see it the same way as Xbox, but
yeah, which is weird because they're the newest guys on the market. I mean, Nintendo's
Mhm.
been around since the 80s.
Yeah.
Sony's been around since the 90s. You know, Microsoft kind of came a little bit late to the game. And I think they care more about the classics than both of them do combined. Both Sony and Nintendo do combined.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't even have like, you know, there's a lot of original kind of Xbox franchises that sometimes I wish, you know, could make a comeback. Like we talked about this kind of lesser known game, Otoji, that one of our guys, Josh, was really into. It's kind of like a hack and slash style game that it'd be cool to kind of get a sequel for that, or at least some sort of, you know, I don't know, remaster or whatever, just to get people interested.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird that they're committed more to the classics. And I mean, even though Xbox 360 was what 15 years ago, you know, when I first had mine.
Yeah.
And I've had 3 of them break.
Okay.
But I bought in like each other like re-edition, you know.
Oh,
like
okay. See, I never did. I never did just because they changed that hard drive on it, and it sucked because I'm like, now I've got like 250 gig hard drives, and I'll be out that. I won't be able to use them, you know. I mean, I had the adapter.
Gigs was like, wow, that's a lot of space.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the days. Jeez.
Yeah.
Now it's like 250 gigs. That's like Call of Duty. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you get that on your phone, and that's like one of the lower end phones.
Yeah. Yeah. When you had the 4 gig Xbox 360. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They did with the redesign because it was an external hard drive that you could just swap in and out easily. And but at the very least, they kind of made it they made it nicer that okay, you can plug in an external hard drive, but that's taking away a USB port, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I don't remember if it was the same for 360, but I know with the Xbox One, you can put a USB hub in it, and you can plug a whole bunch of stuff in, you know.
Yeah.
So like at least it's like a PC in that way that you can do that, but I don't remember if you could do that with the 360 or if that was something you had to do special.
I don't remember. I know, like I think the last Slim edition that they had, they upgraded a lot of the ports. Like I think they put like 3 ports in the back of the system.
Okay.
And of course they had to throw that Connect port in there too.
Yeah. Which I was one of the only people that was excited for.
Honestly, the idea for that was genius. Like it was ahead of its time at the time. That kind of technology, like even Peter Molyneux was his little tech demo of that kid Milo or something like that. I mean, if that worked, like if they'd actually like maybe cared a little bit more, that would have been kind of cool. Like honestly, I hate to admit it, but I enjoyed the hell out of Dance Central on the Kinect, you know.
Well, like my favorite game was for the 360, but I loved Racketeer.
Yeah,
like that was just so cool, just because it was like, you know, like you'd stretch your arms out and then you'd have to like tip them to fly it, because it was like basically would turn the rock into like a scarab. And you would have to like kind of, you know, float it into where you wanted to crash into the thing. And there was just
what was that one made by the guy that made not Fez, Rez? What was that game? It came out for the Kinect.
Oh shoot!
Where it was like you had to basically just like kind of like manipulate objects that came through you, and then you know you pump your fist, you throw it away and stuff.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But I mean, admittedly, I think they delved into it a little bit too hard with the Xbox One when they released the Xbox One, and I think that's where kind of like Microsoft learned a lot of hard lessons during those first few years.
Yeah.
I think they wanted so hard for it to be the all-in. That's why they called it the One.
Yeah.
It was the all-in-one system. It was something you could watch TV on, you could watch movies on, and you could game on. And they almost wanted it to be like a computer, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if initially they had plans that do like a keyboard and mouse support earlier on, you know, and that and requiring the Kinect to be connected and on all time, like that was a hard lesson. That was a hard lesson.
I honestly think they would have been so much better off had they like day one said you could get the console with the Kinect, or not.
Or not, yeah.
Or if you wanted to, like, you know, for Skype and things like that, you could just use your own camera.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I think had they not been so fast and hard, you know, with pushing that things may have been different, but you know, like it was a bummer because I personally at the time, I didn't see anything wrong with it, just because I personally was, you know, excited. I wanted that. I wanted what they were selling.
Mhm.
But
It was a
you
cool
know,
idea. Yeah.
yeah, because and I remember, like, you know, like in the beginning there, I would plug another game console into the the input, because remember,
Yeah.
you could have the picture in picture and all that kind of stuff in the beginning.
Mhm.
And so you could essentially be playing, you know, PlayStation or Nintendo games on through your
Yeah, right.
Xbox.
Yeah, that was kind of a cool feature. Yeah.
Yeah, it
For
just
sure.
yeah, there's just, you know, like all those just cool little things that, like, as a tech nerd, was just kind of fun to mess around with. And but you know, like when
And
you're
that's the
looking
thing
at,
Microsoft does well, is that they obviously have that. They have the biggest they're part of the biggest tech hardware company in the world,
yeah,
Microsoft. So they have access to a lot of that kind of research.
and
And
I think that's though why they care so much about backwards compatibility, is like
Mm.
they are just a bunch of tech nerds who really want to see what new tech can do with those old games. And, like, you know, look at, we're getting some games with 120 you know, frames per second that
Yeah.
were nothing near that,
Mhm.
you know, originally. And yeah, it's
That's wild.
been
Like,
a lot
yeah,
of
they've been pushing that hard. Like their updates
yeah.
recently, like, hey, check out all these like Xbox One updates that we're just throwing your way. Like
Mhm.
PlayStation 5, nowhere near that list.
Yeah,
You know,
so
I mean, granted, they're not like full blown like upgrades.
yeah,
You know, like we're talking like, you know, like real upgrades, but still like playing those games at 60 frames to 120 frames a second, it's
yeah.
it looks pretty silky smooth.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, like, some of the graphics are updated, but it's all being done by AI.
Yeah.
Like that's what that's all they're doing, is they're running it through AI. And it's like redoing it through AI, which is, you know, is just insane to even, I can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah, I can't
But
even wrap my head around it when I kind of read a little bit on like how they can kind of do that to old games with just a simple small update. Like it's just amazing to me. I
yeah,
just found out actually my copy of Saints Row the Third remastered
yeah,
got the free upgrade treatment.
yep,
So
yep,
super stoked about that. Super glad I didn't buy it again.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
the second I was talking about that, the second Saints Row came out, like, I mean, I always would get the Grand Theft Auto games, but when Saints Row showed that you could be a little bit more on the goofy, wacky side, but still
Mm.
have, you know, good gameplay like the Grand Theft Auto games, I was all into all into Saints Row after that.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
I
that
mean,
first game was basic, but that's always how it's been with
mhm,
those kind of games. That first one is kind of just a, I
testing
don't
ground.
want to, yeah, I don't, and you know, like, I don't want to discredit it, but it was like, yeah, they're trying to find their way, trying to, you know, figure out what they want it to be.
Mm,
And then, yeah, two, in my opinion, two is still my favorite,
mm.
just because I liked how they locked, or they didn't lock, like, make you have to find cheat codes to get all the fun stuff. Like, you could just do, once you finished all these type of side missions, you'd
Yeah.
get unlimited, you know, shotgun and you know, assault rifle ammo or whatever, and they would
Yeah,
just
and
kind
that
of,
was actually good incentive to complete those side missions.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like, what's my reward for a side mission? Oh, a new assault
exactly,
rifle. Great, whatever. But like that was actually good incentives
yeah,
to finish those
exactly.
side missions,
I
which
wish
is
they would
pretty
do
cool.
that more.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, I
It's-
know they're working on the next Saints Row, so
yeah,
I hope maybe they can interject a little bit of that into it. Be kind of cool.
yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
would,
Saints Row the Third was obviously my favorite because
yeah,
they took the kind of like over the top action, you know,
yeah, yep,
uh, kind of like Michael Bayish a little bit, and
hmm,
obviously added their humor to it as well.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's a franchise that I've, you know, that I honestly, I can say is probably right up there with, like, Portal and stuff, is like, is one of those franchises that I just hope never goes away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with Portal, I don't know if we'll ever see another Portal again, just
I
because
don't think so.
everything's kind of broke up. The people that originally kind of created that stories and
Well, because
that.
it's been so long,
Yeah.
it's like so much
Yeah.
time has passed.
Yeah.
We think that with Mass Effect now, where it's like, okay, they're working on the next Mass Effect game,
Mhm.
but it's like a lot of that original people want that original trilogy style
Mhm.
of storytelling, but it's like a lot of those people left so long ago. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna kind of get what you get, but like, don't wish for that. It's gotta advance, and it's gotta kind of move, and that's why kind of Andromeda was doomed to fail, regardless of the whole tech. I mean, that's a whole nother ball of wax that I
Yeah.
could jump down, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop. On that.
Well, and
Mass Effect was an original Xbox IP though at first.
Exactly, and that's like that and Morrowind, and
Mhm.
there was a lot of like.
Well, the Elder Scrolls is back.
Yep,
It's back.
exactly,
Back to be
exactly.
exclusive on Xbox now, so.
Yeah, and I think we'll end it on that yeah, like this new console is looking to be like the kind of what they were kind of saying they wanted it to be. Is it's like a remembrance, it's bringing back those memories of how things were in that original Xbox came out, and having the big things now like Elder Scrolls, and that at the time never was even thought of dreaming about running on a console, but they were able to do it with the Xbox, and then that kind of turned the future around for those kind of games, and it no longer was just a PC thing anymore, and and it's looking to be like like they're going to be kind of getting into that nostalgia with some of these companies that they've acquired and stuff. So
Definitely, for sure. And Xbox, once they kind of turned the tables a bit on what they learned from the Xbox One launch, they became so committed to just, let's make it about the games. That's what we're here for.
yeah.
And Phil Spencer, he's a god amongst video game nerds.
Yeah.
It's just I can't imagine, like, if that guy walks around in public, like people must bow to him. Like I'd bow to him. I'd probably like shake my hand like, hi, Mister. But like, he comes with this ray of hope where it's like, it's about the games. We're here for the games. We're here to make great games and bring you some of our great games in our back catalog. And they've just been nailing it the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And reminding us that it's like, hey, we're here to play. We're here to have fun. That's what it's all about.
Yep. Yeah, and and we've been saying it like on our show since the beginning. Like, because it was we had started AX like when it was still, there was not a lot of games and stuff like that, but like there was that talk of things kind of trying to be turned around and turning the ship around, and we knew that it wasn't something that was going to happen overnight, and
sure, no, yeah.
and it's I mean, they've turned it around pretty much now, but it's still they're still waiting for that payoff, but I'm confident that they're going to pull through once things get to where they need it to be, especially with COVID kind of setting a lot of things kind of
I
knocking
imagine
them back
last
a
year
little bit.
that's why I think like last year maybe kind of delayed things for everybody. And I think this year at E3, Xbox is going to come out guns blazing with like, bam, bam, bam. Here are all these games that we finally promised you guys that you guys are going to get. Dan on our podcast is still hopeful that they're still working on Scalebound.
There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because they were so far in they were so far in development. Like, it's just weird that they just kind of abandoned it, especially since they had such a following. And I would still love for them to come out with it, but maybe I have less hope than he does. But
yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff is unfortunate, and a lot of times that happens and we don't even hear about it. Like, that's the unfortunate thing is a lot of times, maybe fortunate for the people that were going to work on something that it didn't get too far, and then they're told they can't do it, kind of like that. But like now with the more recent stuff that came out in the past months, about the 007 remake and how there was all kinds of things that going on with that. That that there was a version for Xbox made and it's never going to see the light of day. Well, I mean, there's been stuff that's leaked out,
Yeah.
but not the full game.
Not that original game. I know there have been some, like I think Bloodstone was like an original one that came out in that era, and I thought there was like one other James Bond game, but
but yeah, so
yeah.
All right, well, thank you for coming on here and talking with me.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'll any excuse to talk about video games. I'm cool.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, do you just want to let people know where they can find you and where they can find your show?
Yeah, I'm part of the EXPcast, EXPCast. People always kind of ask like, how do we spell it? But when I say it out loud, but yeah, we're a video game podcast. We're part of you guys with the Boss Rush Games Network. We talk just all about video games. I'm joined by my friends Josh, Pat, and Dan. We've been friends for a long time and wanted to share our love of video games with everybody else. But we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at EXPcast, and we're on the Boss Rush Games Discord actually. And it's been a lively room lately with a couple of us where we're just like kind of shooting things back and forth with each other. And lately, one of my guys says Time Splitters was a garbage game, and it got me all hot and heated and stuff. I was like, hang on. So
yeah, I've been listening to your guys' show lately. It's been an every week listen. So yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, and it's fun, and it I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous because I have a bunch of friends too that are into gaming and stuff, but they're like me in the beginning. They're like not kind of nervous about the thought of doing this kind of stuff. I think a little bit, and just kind of don't have any experience with it. I mean, I was the same way, and I just kind of threw myself in there. I mean, but it's just like talking with friends, but like the idea though of being able to do stuff in the same room, I just wish, I wish someday, hopefully someday.
Right. Yeah. Well, since we live so close to each other, if you want to record an episode sometime in the future, I don't mind driving up. So
okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, honestly, and I've got family in Milwaukee and stuff, so and in that area. Welcome everyone to the Xbox 20-year anniversary. I am here with Colonel Panic, and we're gonna just talk a little bit about our history with Xbox and celebrate it for the 20 years, and just kind of talk about the things that made us fall in love with it. So I'm here with Joe, aka Colonel Panic. How you doing today?
I'm good. It's like half my friends know me by one name and half know me by the other name, and then depending on who I'm with, I'm determines how I refer to everyone. Being like, oh, my friend this. Be like, oh no, his real name's this. Be like, what are you talking about? Be like, never mind. Gamer tags became a real thing.
Yeah.
During Xbox.
Well, even just even I remember doing a lot of stuff on AIM and Yahoo Chat, and back then it was when that kind of stuff first started, is like, ooh, what cool name can I give myself or for my email
and everyone had the secret name. Like you had the name that you the account you would log into for your real friends, where all the other people would think you're offline, but secretly you're online.
Yeah, now you can just log in as offline if you really don't
just
feel
hide
like
yourself.
You don't feel like being social today.
Come a long way.
Yeah, and we are kind of just talking about 20 years feels like a long time, but at the same time it feels like it was just yesterday that the first Xbox came out, and playing Halo with friends and LAN parties and you name it.
Most of my early memories, real memories, stuff I really remember, most of it revolves around Xbox, oddly enough, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
You think about it's like that scene in a movie where you remember like all like it's like the Ocean's 11 where they show like kind of like what happened, and you're like, oh, the little pine tree air freshener was there, and that's the hint. It'd be like the Xbox was always kind of in the picture. And
Yeah.
like if you look at any of my pictures, like, oh, there's the Xbox. There it traveled with me. That thing was never had a permanent spot in my house. It was always like on my person.
Yeah, well, and I was talking to Ed the other day, like that. I had a Dreamcast, which like I like to call the pre-Xbox, because I mean it's technically Microsoft help with it. It has Microsoft tech inside of it, but like even though that had 4 controller ports, it wasn't. I didn't really play a whole lot of multiplayer on there, and it wasn't until the original Xbox came out, since the N64, that I really had a console where it was like I wanted to play, like 3 or 4 of us friends at a time, or more, even with the LAN party stuff, and I think that's really what pulled me in with that, with that Xbox. Like did you have an N64 as well before that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had definitely had an N64. We would do like like GoldenEye, Mario Kart stuff with all my friends, like doing the split screen thing.
Yeah.
So we would do that. I would say pretty much almost every weekend we would be playing Nintendo 64. The cool thing was that we all of us had Nintendos, so we basically would just bring a controller, and like if the friend doesn't have a game, and like you would have your memory card, like with if you had a save or something on it.
Yeah.
I remember those. I was the first friend that had an Xbox, like to get an Xbox. Like I was the first in our group. I remember it was coming up to the holidays, and my mom's like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I was still in that mode where you would go through like the catalog and cut out stuff, and like, these are the things I want. Try to present your case for as like whatever like theme of your presents, being like, I want to start to get into this, and you have like all the accessories panned out. I remember it was right when I think we started to like get internet in our house, that I did so much online research for like what console to get, because I knew that there was 2 that I could have got, and I was just like, which one's better? And it was very clear to me that like Xbox was the winner. Like I'm like, oh, look at the CPU, it's got a hard drive in it. Like it was just like so obvious to me, being like, and like that was part of my pitch to my mom, being like, you don't have to buy me a memory card, Mom, it's got a hard drive in it, like, and all this. I remember there was an article in like the original, I think it was like the official Xbox magazine. I might even have the magazine around here, where they talked about the development of it, and it was like, it's gonna have, if you have footprints in the sand. I remember that was like the thing. It was like, if you have footprints in the sand, it'll remember, and they'll be there the whole time. And like they were way off, but like it was a good sell. I remember pitching this to my mom, being like, I want to get an Xbox. It's the console I want. And I didn't know what games. Like, I mean, like every console has like what games do you get type of problem. But it was tough going to Xbox, because I couldn't play like my PlayStation games, couldn't play my Nintendo 64 games. And like it was like a new thing. My first game was Mad Dash Racing, if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I remember that.
It had such a it was like these animals that would like run. It was all running. It was like very parkour-esque.
Yeah.
And had a great soundtrack. I would say to this day it's a great soundtrack if you ever listen to it.
I might have to check that out.
And I remember part of me getting that game was because like with the Xbox you could download your CDs to the drive.
Yeah,
which
that
was
was
like
so
the
awesome.
coolest thing.
Yeah, because the best we had before that was PS2, like, or PS1, and I don't remember if it was PS2 as well, but you could take a game out while it's playing and put a CD, audio CD in. That was the best we could do before then.
Right. And at this point I had just gotten into like ripping CDs to my computer.
Yeah.
So I like just started like in that, and be like, oh, I don't even need that. I'll just rip them all to my Xbox. This would be the coolest thing. I can play whatever I wanted. And that was like part of the thing why I got Mad Dash Racing is like, it's like, oh, this way I can play whatever songs I want while I race. And
Mhm.
then the soundtrack was so good that I don't even know if that game was capable of like custom soundtracks, but I remember not
Yeah.
even using it because I liked the
Yeah, the
soundtrack
sound.
so much. And there was this weird part where you had to like, if you were swimming or climbing, you had to like rotate the one stick around really fast. And I remember I had this like goofy thing where I would like hold forward and then like flatten my hand out and like
Oh,
run like as fast as
yeah.
you could to win. Oh man, that was one of those games hours and hours and hours into. But what really sealed the deal for me, and anybody that follows me anywhere or has heard my voice before, knows that like it was Halo. Halo was
Mhm.
the thing, and that's what got our group all like everyone bought an Xbox after that. I
Mhm.
I had a friend coming over. I had just got the Xbox, and I only had I think Mad Dash Racing. I think I might have had like there was like a Star Wars game, maybe. I don't remember. I had two games, but like none of them were really like good multiplayer games. It's
Mhm.
like I have a
Yeah.
friend coming over, I have a new console. Like I want to make sure that I want to play Xbox. I want to make sure that we have something that we can play. And I remember had some money left over from Christmas or whatever, and I went to Best Buy, and again just browsing. I was like, I'm just gonna
Mhm.
look and see what games there are. And I bought an extra controller, and then I bought Halo, and I was like, oh, a shooter game. This will maybe this could be like GoldenEye.
Mhm.
And I took it home, and I opened it with my other friend, and we played that game. I would say like all night long. Like we played it from. We didn't even touch the campaign. We were just doing like what Beaver Creek at the time, just
Yeah.
like and just like to hear the announcers like game over like that.
Yeah.
That sound to me was like it resonates in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Y-
played that all night.
Yeah. I can I can relate on so many levels with that because yeah, there was so many because I like my sister and her fiance now and like a bunch of their friends, we would always just all hang out every once in a while at the apartment my sister was living at, and like literally just me and a bunch of us would just sit up from like, well, I mean, we were up most of the day, but then we would sit up and probably start crashing around 4 a.m.
Hmm?
like every single weekend,
uh,
just playing that for hours and hours.
Whenever we came to the next day, I remember it was me and one of my buddies. I called my other friend who was staying at another friend's house, so it's like another group of two, and I
Hmm.
was like, "You guys have to come over to my house right now and play this game." I so clearly remember, like within 24 hours, I was like, "You guys need to play this. Come out as soon as you can." And they got their parents to drop them off at my house, like one does, and we we played this game, and my friends were like, we were always like kind of like we like to pick at each other, and I
Yeah.
remember as soon as we started to play, my one friend said when we came over, we had both decided on the way over that we were gonna pretend like that whatever game it was, regardless how much we enjoyed it, like it sucked, just like to make you feel bad about like us like making us drive over, but it's like but like it's good, like we really like it, and I think within a week, one of my other friends had an Xbox, so we had two,
Hmm.
and that's when we discovered the whole like first off we discovered what a crossover cable is and that
Yeah.
how you can't just put a regular ethernet cable between two Xboxes. You
Yeah.
either go through a router or a crossover cable. I remember that. And we played that. So then the cool thing was that we could have four people and two per TV. And
Hmm.
that was also a game changer. Be like, oh my god, like the screen looking, because you had two teams of two, screen
Yep.
looking was no longer a thing. And we would
Yeah.
make sure that we would like run the Ethernet cable from one bedroom into like another bedroom, so you actually have two rooms worth of content.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then from there, it was like, okay, now we have two more friends that we're going to invite over. So it's like now we're doing like the long panel and then the two smaller panels.
Hmm.
Like so, it's like three people per screen. And I would say that I remember there was a time where we were doing that at my one friend's house, as one does, because that just dominated our life. Every weekend,
Uh-huh.
Nintendo 64 was like a novelty. It's like, oh, we want to do this if we're feeling nostalgic, but ultimately we're playing Xbox. And I remember we played it with my one friend, and he was like, I gotta get going. My mom wanted to go shopping for school clothes or something like that. And we're like, we play all, like, I would say he was gone maybe 5 minutes, but he was probably gone 3 hours because we were playing Xbox, no concept of time. And he comes over, and we see his car, like, because they were neighbors. We see his car drive down, pull into his driveway, and then we see him running up my friend's driveway. Like, I would say, like, and he's carrying this like huge bag, and we're like, "What's that?" And he went to the store while he was clothes shopping, convinced his mom to buy him an Xbox and a controller. So then we had 3 in our group, and then it wasn't long after, but it's like somebody needs to get the 4th one. And then from there
Yeah.
on out, it was LAN parties as long as we could, like anytime we could. My one
Yeah.
friend had a business; they had projectors. We would go and raid it and unhook all the projectors from the ceiling, and like we would, oh my god,
Nice.
it was all the time, all the time. That's the only thing that we did. And then I think from there, it's just like it was a huge part of our life from there. I mean, like we had Xboxes, so it was just like kind of what games can we play together, and to me that's the cornerstone of Xbox, is just like playing together. It always had the best connectivity. It was so early on all that stuff, as far as like, especially from a console perspective. Like we
Mhm.
had PCs, but like I never had a need to get like a beefy PC or to game on PC. Every time I
Mhm.
tried it, it never really went well. I would get the game and like my graphics card wouldn't handle it, or man, at the time my sound card wouldn't handle all the sounds. So you'd get like the music, but then nothing else, or only the sound effects. Uh,
Yeah.
and it just was like such a thing. Like we would all have to like conference in to be like, what game are we going to get next? Because we all have to buy the game, and we would only buy games that like support like the 16 player, or like the
Yeah.
like the system link or the 4 Xbox connection stuff. Man, but it was always Halo. It was Halo up until college. Like we were just
Yeah.
playing Halo. That's the only thing that we really played consistently. Every time, and oh man, Halo 2 online, you get to play with
Yeah.
strangers. Oh,
Yeah.
it was the
Yeah,
best.
like yeah, that's the thing, is like, I mean, Halo was so dominant that if I feel like most people our age, the story is the same. Like it was, everyone, it was Halo, just playing Halo all the time with friends, and every free moment that you had. And yeah, like, I mean, that original Xbox, and just, even like, I mean, once 360 came out, you had that kind of well established, but I
Hmm.
mean, like, it was such a big deal though with that first Xbox to have the ability to just connect right out of the box to the internet and stuff like that, and yeah, and just playing against other people without having to be on a PC was such a big deal. Cause yeah, like I did do some PC gaming. I had kind of been fortunate, and I had saved a bunch of money, and my grandparents helped me pay for the other half, but then I had to pay them back, and I got a PC for editing. But once the Xbox came out, and like everything was just so much more simple, like I honestly, I was like, okay, I don't really need to worry about PC gaming anymore, because it's close enough right now with the way consoles are going. So
Oh man, if you ever try to play, I would say even now, like first off, like if you try to play like OG Halo on
yeah,
an original Xbox, it's tough. Like the controls like don't quite make sense, but like they're
yeah,
close enough. But then
yeah,
like if you were to go back, I remember once we started to play Halo, and you would go back and try to play GoldenEye, you're just like, how do you do this? Like it doesn't make sense in your hands to try to play
yeah,
GoldenEye anymore, because you have to like pull this and then you can aim. Otherwise, you're just kind of like waving it. Oh man, it was so weird.
yeah.
Um, but I
Yeah, that
remember
was a big game changer too, is the dual
controls.
sticks, and the way they had finally kind of implemented that, like, really well balanced controls.
I remember the 360 was the first console I bought myself. Like up until there, I survived on like birthdays or Christmas.
Hmm.
The November launch was a good timing. But I remember I was living on my own, not on my own, but like not at home, and the 360 was like announced, and like to me, like the thing that stinks about the 360's launch is like the hard drive was optional, but like it definitely wasn't, and it also wasn't for the first Xbox. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
wait, like you can't take it away from me. I guess it wasn't that, but
Yeah.
it felt kind of like it. You had to pay more, and you got to get
Yeah.
that silver tray. And I remember I went to GameStop with like all my Xbox stuff, and I was like, any of the games that I knew that I wouldn't play, and I got rid of my Steel Battalion, which was the big money maker for me.
Yeah.
And I like traded in my Xbox, and I had already gotten a new original Xbox because when they had that translucent Halo green one, 100% had to get it.
Yeah, that
It's
was
just like, I need
yeah,
to
it was
have
amazing.
this. And I traded that in with the Steel Battalion, and I think I still owed like 60 or 70 bucks. Like not great trade-in. If I would have that stuff now, I would get more than enough for like than I would do.
Yeah, because I've been looking into getting an original one again. And I think they're going for like anywhere around like 90 plus
to get one
for
in
one.
decent shape.
Yeah.
Let alone, I don't even know what like the Steel Battalion thing. That was like I think $300 when I bought it.
Oh yeah,
And let alone,
I mean, well, even nowadays, like look at how much it costs to buy just one of those basic steering wheels for like Xbox or for PC. They're like $400, and it's like
way too much.
Yeah, because I'd love to get one of those again, but it's just really hard to be able to tell myself that I'd be okay by spending that much money on just a peripheral.
So, Steel Battalion controllers on eBay right now, the cheapest one that I can find is $350. Upwards to like in the box stuff, $750.
Yeah,
Man, missed opportunity on my end.
Yeah, but I mean that was our whole entire life. Like I look back dreading all the times that I sold like all my Ghostbuster and original Turtle figures for like 25 cents or 10 cents in a garage sale, and
like I gotta get rid of this stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when I got my 360, I got Perfect Dark with it.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't even finish the game before we were back in Halo 2. Like I was like, oh, new console, gonna do this. Put in Perfect Dark. I think I played up until the point that there was like a jungle level or something.
Okay.
And then like immediately was like, my friends were like, you guys want to play Halo? I'm like, yep, let's just play Halo. And we just went back to Halo. Like we just kept gravitating back to that game. Then,
like oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I just like that's the only thing we played.
Yeah, like because like I would say that like probably the bigger shooter other than obviously like 007 that I got into were like the Unreal Engine or Unreal Tournament and stuff like that on PC, or like that was the only thing that I really got super into as far as shooters on PC. But yeah, once Halo came along, it like all that stuff was just didn't compare, and in my eyes at that point, because it was similar, but at the same time the arenas were, I mean, those maps in Halo 1 and 2, like, I mean, some of the coolest like multiplayer maps still to this day, in my opinion.
Like even now when Halo 5 has that CE throwback, which is my favorite game mode in Halo 5, and Halo 5's multiplayer is solid. It's when they do that throwback and like I get to play Hang 'em High with like new like modern controls and like clamber and sprint and like the original pistol, and it feels perfect to me. It's like this is how I remember Halo, even though that's not how it was. Like this is how it felt to me. And Hang 'em High is, man, it's just my favorite map. My one friend, this is a true story. I made my friend so mad killing him in Hang 'em High because I had the reticle on that pistol. I did not use anything other than that pistol. There's no need for a shotgun, no need for a sniper if I can get the pistol.
Yeah.
And I remember like I killed him so many times that he punched a hole in my wall. And to this day I cover for him for that hole. But I remember I remember like we were playing and we were in separate rooms and I hear a loud bang and then like he like left and like I saw his car leave and I'm like, what happened? And there was a hole in the wall and he's like, it's like you made him really, really mad. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I mean, like, I get it. But
Yeah.
man, I just will never forget that. And it still feels like that to this day. It's just like you get me on Hang 'em High and it feels so natural.
Yeah.
But I've had every Xbox since then. I mean, mostly is like, I mean, Halo obviously is the big thing, but it also just feels like that's the space that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
I've had every PlayStation as well since, and I get
Mhm.
it to play like single player games, but
Mhm.
even when I play online with PlayStation, like it just doesn't feel the same. It feels like there's an
Mhm.
ecosystem for me to exist with friends on Xbox, and
Mhm.
PlayStation is like the book I read before I go to bed. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's like, and there's space for both, but like Xbox is the majority of my time, and it's where I hang out. Like that's my hangout space.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. Like, that's really why I gravitated towards Xbox as well, is like it's always been like the place for multiplayer games, right? Like, I mean, even a lot of their IP are have some form of online play, and and I've just always been a social gamer. So like Xbox has always felt like the place for social gaming
Mhm.
outside of PC, obviously, but
But even
and
PC
even
is
then,
like the Wild West, where it's like, yeah, you
yeah,
can connect and talk to people, but like Xbox felt like the hub.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
like
yeah,
yeah, like the best, because yeah, there was more interactions. Like when you're playing multiplayer on a PC, it's not like everyone brings over their controller to play on your PC. Like Xbox not only gave you the ability to play online with friends, but to have them come over if you wanted to, and all be playing on the same console if you needed, and
right.
just kind of, yeah, it just brought friends together. Period.
The most of the friends that I play with to this day is because we played like on Xbox together. Like that,
Yeah.
it was like it came out at the perfect time for like our impressionable youth to create like very lifelong strong bonds together,
Yeah.
and just like knowing what like everyone's like all my friends house like was just like an extension of my house, you know.
Yeah.
Just be like
Exactly.
I don't think anyone's mom would bat an eye if like they saw me like in their refrigerator getting a drink. They would
Nope.
just be like,
Nope.
oh, it's Joe. Like they don't know how I got there, how long I'd been there, anything like that. Be like, oh, they're probably playing Xbox. Like, how much trouble did that keep us out of? Like, it had to have been
Exactly.
mounds.
Exactly. Like that that's the perfect like example of like why gaming in a lot of ways is it can be a positive thing. Over the years there's been people who've tried to spin it in a negative, that it's a negative thing, but you give me someone who just goes out and plays video games versus someone who's going out and causing whatever around town. It definitely kept us out of a lot of trouble.
Right. I think they're everyone's always going to blame whatever new medium is out there, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, with video games being tech oriented, it's going to be video games for such a long time because they're going to evolve. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like think about 20 years from now, like what is this space going to look like? I would
Yeah.
find it hard to believe that Xbox doesn't exist in 20 years. It's not going to look like what it does now, but like
Yeah.
it's definitely going to exist.
Hmm.
And I think it's going to be a lot of the same thing. I think you're going to
Yeah.
be like, Xbox is how I connect with my friends, and
Hmm.
like that's how we play together. And I think that I don't know. I feel like it's a very strong argument that Xbox is like where you go to hang out, and I think it'll always be that to me, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think we'll end it with that. It was a great talk, and definitely a lot of, it's always fun to go back and look at all the things that we've done, and things that people, friends that we've made through gaming. And Xbox, yeah, for you as well as me, has been there pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, out of all the stuff I can remember, Xbox is
Yeah.
like there.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Well, would you like to tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Colonel Panic. That's K3RNL_Panic. Good luck spelling it, but that's where I am. You can find links to everything else there.
All right. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.